All right, this is day 4 of the Tech Fitness alternate day fasting routine, and I just wanted to go over a few things about diet real quick. And I wanted to do this while I had it on my mind because I had someone ask me yesterday about diet and about eating lean. So 'cause I know on my video yesterday I was talking about exchanging fats for, or fat type foods for leaner foods. Okay, so I was saying I'm taking fats out of my diet. Okay, but what does that mean and what does it not mean? Okay, first of all, it doesn't mean taking out oils. It doesn't mean taking out completely taking out olive oil, MCT oil, coconut oil, or whatever other oil that you use. That's not it. It doesn't mean instead of frying something up, boiling it or air frying it. No, that's not what it means either. What this means is switching out fatty foods for less fatty foods, for leaner foods. And that's all that means. So I'll go ahead and give an example. Buenos días, primo. I'll go ahead and give an example. So what I was doing before is I was eating a whole bunch of sausage and bacon in the morning, okay? And that was the reason I did that was because it was high in fats, and that was able to keep me satiated throughout the day. I was able to feel full and have energy throughout the day. But of course, every day I'm learning, and every day as you're going along your fitness routine, not only are you learning, but your body is changing, and your requirements for nutrients are changing, and also your habits are changing, and your discipline is actually improving, right? So once you get to the point where your discipline is improved, you can actually have less fats, fewer fats in your diet. Okay, this is just whenever you're starting this, starting a diet routine. If you're trying to do less volume, portion control, you want to have less fat. So what does that mean? So instead of sausage and bacon, I'm eating chicken and tuna. Okay, so chicken is leaner than sausage. Tuna is leaner than sausage. It's leaner than chicken. Okay, and so what does that mean? What does it mean to be leaner? Okay, so look at it like this. So chicken, a serving of chicken will have 250 calories. Serving of chicken will have about 20 grams of fat and about 30 grams of protein. Maybe 15 to 20 grams of fat, 30 grams of protein. Whereas tuna will have 0 or 1 gram of fat, and it's going to have 18 to 20 grams of protein. Okay, so that's why I'll go with the tuna. Okay, so if you're looking at bacon, bacon will have like bacon will have like 10 grams of protein and 10 grams of fat, something similar to that. So when I'm looking at the protein and I'm looking at the fat content, what I'll do is I'll look at the number. Okay, so on the number per serving, if the protein is like 22 and then the fat is like 11, then that's good. That's better. I want the fat to be less, even though that ends up being around the same amount of calories. I want it to be at least half or less. So if I'm looking at a food, if I'm looking at like a type of meat, I want it to be a lot more protein. So I was looking at crab last night. All this seafood, shrimp, crab, any type of fish, most of the white fish. If you're looking at tuna, if you're looking at like something that's caught like a bass, something like this, what it's going to have is high amounts of protein paired with low amounts of fat. Okay, and so that was what I did. That was what I'm doing. I'm actually switching out a lot of the fats or a lot of the meats for leaner meats. That's all it is. So I was having a lot of pork bacon and a lot of sausage, just regular pork sausage. Okay, so what I might end up doing is switching that for turkey bacon or turkey sausage. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna have some more turkey bacon, especially depending on the macros. If it's high in protein and low in fats, that's what I'm gonna have instead. I was looking at some last night. So even though before I was saying turkey bacon is no good, now, especially since I'm leaning up, I do want to I do want to have leaner food in my life. So that was my point for that. And so another example, you know, I was doing avocado, like a half of avocado before. Avocado is high in fats, it's healthy fats. But right now my body doesn't need that. My body doesn't need the fats, you know. And the reason is I've got plenty of body fat. So my body is never going to be at a caloric deficit. You know, I'm going to have enough calories because whatever I don't eat in fats, my body is actually going to collect that and burn body fat instead. So it's not like I'm ever going to be at a caloric deficit. I've got plenty of energy, you know. So what I'll do is I'll get proteins. I'll get as much proteins. Obviously, there's only 3 macronutrients. We need fats, carbs, and proteins, and we don't even need carbs, right? So, you know, I know I'm not going to be eating carbs, and I know I'm not going to be, and I'm trying to reduce my fat. So what am I going to eat? Things that are high in protein. Okay, what's another example? Another example is going to be cottage cheese. Another example is going to be cottage cheese. Okay, so cottage cheese has like 15 grams of protein per a half cup, and 0 grams of fat, depending on which one you get, or it could have like 2 or 3 grams of fat, and then it's maybe going to have like 2 or 3 carbs. Okay, so it does have carbs. It has sugar in it. Okay, it's milk. Milk has sugar. It's life. That's how it is. It's science. So that's what I did. So instead of eating a half an avocado in my salad, I ended up putting a half a cup of cottage cheese in there. Okay, so I didn't even look at the macros. I don't even know if the caloric value is about the same, if it's the same amount of calories or not. But either way, 15 grams of protein, that's 60 calories. 60 calories of pure protein. Okay, so you know that's actually going to be good for you. And at the end of the day, if you don't have enough carbs, if you don't have enough sugar, your body's actually going to use that extra protein through glyconeogenesis, and it's going to, it's going to actually produce sugar out of that. Okay, so you don't have to worry about carbs. You don't have to worry about getting enough sugar. You know, you're always going to have enough. Your body can use proteins through gluconeogenesis to derive sugars if you need it for your brain or for any other part of your body, your muscles, whatever. All right, so that was one example, just the cottage cheese. All right, and then here's another one. Greek yogurt. If you're getting Greek yogurt, you know, Greek yogurt is super low in fat. You know, sometimes it's 0 fat, depending on what you get. 0 fat, 0 carb. I get the Oikos 000. It's 0 fat, it's 0 carb, and it has 15 grams of protein. Okay, so by putting these things in my diet, I'm able to up the amount of protein as compared to the amount of fat. You know, so and now with these, you know, if I'm cooking chicken or tuna, I mean, I could even cook tuna in olive oil. I could deep fry tuna in olive oil, and I'm not going to get the amount of fat intake that I would be getting if I ate bacon, because bacon has the fat like basically just all in the bacon, you know, so it's part of it. Even salmon, you know, okay, like with bacon, for example, you can see the fat and you can cut it off. But with salmon, it's completely integrated. Okay, all the fat and the protein is like perfectly smooth. That's why it's such a smooth, juicy fish. Okay, and so it's not white and flaky. It's like smooth and like juicy, you know. So that's the difference between a fatty fish like salmon and a white fish like tuna, you know, that's lean. Okay, so that's the difference. There was a guy who used to say, I can't even remember his name, last name is Poliquin. This guy was a fitness coach, and he would say red out of bed and white at night. And so that meant if you're gonna eat your fatty foods, your fatty meats, that you would eat that in the morning. Okay, you would eat that right after you get out of bed. And then it means that at night, or for your second meal of the day, if you're having a second meal, that means that you would have something that's white, like a chicken or like a white fish. Okay, so that's what he meant by that. So and the reason he said that is because, you know, you want to have your fats earlier in the day, that way you deplete them, and then you'll have your proteins later in the day. So higher protein, because that's not going to spike your insulin. It's going to let your insulin stay low, and it's going to basically prolong your fast until you eat your next meal in the morning. When with lower insulin, you're going to have higher fat burning potential, and you're going to have an increase in human growth hormone overnight as you sleep. You're going to be burning fat literally as you breathe, as you sleep and you breathe, because it works just like the engine on your car. Whenever you breathe out, you're breathing out fat, just like when your car exhausts lets out, you know, H2O, water out the back of the tailpipe. Same thing, we're breathing out carbon dioxide, we're breathing out fat, right? So that's what happens, especially if your insulin is low enough, and your body knows to be burning fat and not metabolizing energy and sugar. So yeah, that was so that's what I started doing. I started looking up different foods that were going to be high in protein. And so there was another thing that I did, and it's not so much what I'm eating, it's what I'm not eating. So before, I was eating a whole bunch of nuts. I was eating a bunch of nuts in the morning, and even when I started doing when I started doing 2 meals a day, this recent ADF routine, I was eating a bunch of nuts in between for a snack, and then I was eating them with my second meal as well. Okay, so I like to put them in my salad, but then I had to stop doing that because 1 ounce of nuts is like 200 calories, and it's a lot of fat. You know, it's usually like half protein, half fat. You know, and I can't add that to my diet. I can't add more fats to my diet when I'm trying to reduce fat. So I had to cut those out, you know. So that was one thing. Usually nuts have way too much fat. Even pecans, you know, pecans have like 1 gram of carb, but they have a whole bunch of fat. They're like basically half fat, half protein. Okay, same thing with like cashews and pistachios, and even pistachios have a lot of carbs, and macadamias have a lot of fat and a lot of carbs. So I love them, but for right now I had to cut them out because I want to get the best results on my routine. So anywhere where I had, you know, I didn't put any nuts in there, but I was using them optionally. Well, I'm not going to do it anymore. And anywhere where I had, you know, sausage and bacon, like I said before, I'm trying to incorporate either turkey bacon, chicken, or some tuna. You know, I'm doing more tuna now. And then even where I was having sausage in the morning, maybe now I'm going to have salmon instead. Okay, so this is what I mean by this. So yeah, anything that's fatty, like another thing is you know, I was eating pork rinds before, but now I'm not eating pork rinds because I don't really need them. They have too much fat, so I'm not gonna, they're not part of my routine anyway. You know, I can have them after I get done with this routine, so I'm not going to be having those just for now. You know, obviously if I breaded some or my wife breaded some chicken and some pork rind crumbs. Okay, that's one thing. That's not the same. You know, I was snacking with like a bag of pork rinds before, which is fine. You know, it's the macros are fine. There's actually 0 carb, and but it's like half fat, half protein. You know, which is something I just don't need right now. Okay, so those are a few things that I'm doing differently as far as the way, you know, the type of protein that I'm taking in. It's mostly the meats that I'm changing up, you know, but then again, like I said, you know, I'm switching avocado, and instead I'm eating some cottage cheese, you know. And I was putting regular cheese. I was putting like shredded cheese on my salads before, shredded cheese and goat cheese. And instead of doing that, you know, I'm just doing cottage cheese. It's just higher in protein, low carb and low fat. Okay, so by doing that, it's helped so much. Oh, another thing, one more thing. Okay, so instead of doing full eggs, 2 full eggs. So now what I'm doing is maybe like 1 egg, 1 full egg, and then like 2 or 3 egg whites. You know, so the fat in the yolk is fine. It's good fat. You know, it's healthy fat for you. But right now, since I'm trying to cut down, I'm just basically saying, hey, I don't need this fat. I don't need this egg yolk because I actually have body fat that my body can use instead. Okay, so that's why I'm doing that. And so yeah, through all that, you know, it really doesn't matter how I cook the food. You know, I can literally deep fry every freaking meat that I eat. You know, I could literally deep fry my egg whites. I could deep fry my my cottage cheese if I wanted to, but that's not going to make a difference. You know, the 2-3 tablespoons of fat, that's most of it gets burned off in the pan anyway, and doesn't even get absorbed into the food. And then if you blot it out, I mean, most of that is not going to be absorbed by you. You're not going to put it in your body anyway. So even if you cook with 3 tablespoons of oil, then maybe you're going to ingest about 2. You know, so you know, and even at that, 1 tablespoon of olive oil is nothing. I mean, it's 1 tablespoon is like, I don't know, 10 to 20 calories of fat. You know, so it's really nothing. It's you know, at the end of the day, where you're going to be getting your higher fats is going to be, you know, in your foods. You know, things like avocados, nuts. You know, other things that they tell you to eat that are healthy fats: nuts, avocados, MCT oil, these type of things, olive oil, coconut oil. You know, these are the things that are gonna, you know, in large quantities that are going to be high in fats. You know, well, I mean, the oils in large quantities are going to be high in fats, and then obviously if you eat a whole avocado, that's a lot of fat right there, even though it's healthy. If you eat a whole bunch of egg yolks, that's a whole bunch of fat. And so yeah, in my routine before, I was definitely using high fats to be able to stay satiated throughout the day. But now that I've got the discipline and I'm fasting, you know, now that I'm fasting longer, I'm doing 44-hour fasts, but it's not that long, but it's long enough to be able to just reduce my fats and end up doing almost like a fasting mimicking diet, to the point where every time that I take a meal, it's under 500 calories. It's mostly protein. It won't induce an insulin spike, and it's almost like I ate nothing at all. But it still keeps me disciplined. I'm still able to eat a small meal. I'm still able to eat something, and I'm able to at least learn about my food, you know, and learn about the macronutrients while I'm doing this. So, you know, obviously, if you're not eating anything, you're not learning anything about food. So when you're tracking your food, you know, you obviously end up learning a lot more about food. So so those are the things I'm doing: chicken, tuna, you know, any type of white fish, seafood. You know, I'm going with chicken and tuna because it's cheaper. But yeah, anything that's lean is gonna work. Also, so when it comes to like the vegetables, you know, I'm still gonna be doing my leafy greens, obviously. But when it comes to vegetables, I'll just reduce my vegetable intake. You know, I like to do mushrooms and zucchini fried up, but maybe I'll do that a little bit less. You know, maybe just a less volume or something like that. You know, because I still want to get my vegetables in every day. You know, not just my leafy greens. I do want to get vegetables. So you know, I'll probably start using more cucumbers in my salad, and then doing you know, just doing a smaller portion of the sauteed vegetables, because those do have oil in them. You know, those have some olive oil. I mean, it's not the main reason, but what I'm saying is it's just a little less volume. You know, I'll have more volume in protein. You know, so the other day, instead of having a higher volume, what I did was I had 2 packs of tuna. So, you know, that ended up being 36 grams of protein right there. And then I had like 4 egg whites, you know, and that's like 25 grams of protein right there. So it's like 60 grams of protein and like hardly any fat. Okay, and so in doing that, I was able to get plenty of protein in order to fuel my muscles, to build muscle for working out. But then also, or to maintain my muscle, especially whenever you're fasting, you definitely want to maintain muscle. But also, you know, I didn't have to take in a lot of fats. It's going to force my body to use my body fat instead of using exogenous fats that I take in from my food. And then obviously there was close to 0 carb. So, you know, any carbs that I'm getting, I have to take in separately. You know, if I do want to have carbs in the morning on a fed day, you know, I might just do some fried sweet potato. You know, if I want to have some energy whenever I'm doing like a workout or something like that. Like if I want to do a hard workout that day, I might just have some sweet potato in the morning. You know, and I'll probably fry that. You know, I'll probably fry up sweet potato. It doesn't matter. You know, it's negligible the amount of oil that you can put in. You know, you can't. I mean, if you really drink oil, if you drink some olive oil, yeah, you can put some calories in. But other than that, yeah, you're not going to do anything by just cooking your foods in oil. It's not going to add that much fat to your meal. You know, especially like I said, if you can cook a tuna steak in oil. You know, it's not going to add that much oil to it, but you can boil a yeah, so you could literally deep fry tuna, whereas if you boiled or put a piece of salmon in the air fryer, there's no way you're ever going to reduce the amount of fat in that piece of salmon, because there's just so much more fat. Or if you have a fatty cut of meat, you know, as opposed to a lean cut of steak, or a lean, you know, like you got a fatty steak compared to a lean steak. You know, you can't get enough fat off of that steak because it's integrated in the steak. You know, it's the fat is integrated in the meat, like this, like just how the salmon is, just like the nuts are. You know, just like a pecan, you're not going to cut any of the fat out of a pecan. You know, it's just integrated into the structure of the fruit, or into the structure of the nut, right? So same thing with meat. You know, so you know, it doesn't matter if you you know, if you air fry bacon, you know, well, with bacon, you can at least pull the fat off. But if you air fry a piece of salmon, you know, all that oil is not going to drip out, you know, so you're still going to have fats that you're eating, and which is fine. But yeah, for right now on this routine, the fact that I'm trying to do leaner meats just means that I'm going to have less salmon, more tuna, less fatty beef, more lean beef, you know. And I'm gonna be doing more chicken because chicken is lean, and I don't really like chicken breast. You know, I prefer like the thighs and the legs, but I might even do some chicken breast instead because it's super lean. What? You know what? I'm lying. I'm not. I'm just gonna get regular. I'm just gonna get one regular thing, which is chicken legs and chicken thighs. You know, the fat is it's fine. You know, it's maybe just a little bit higher. But at the end of the day, it's animal fats. It's not the same. You know, animal fats are healthy for you, and that's what I like. Plus, I end up getting collagen off of the cartilage, and all like the sinew, the tendons, whatever. You know, so I eat all that, and I get the cartilage. You know, just like our ancestors used to do. So, you know, there's that benefit too. So that's why I end up doing that instead. So yeah, that was just basically this whole video. I just wanted to talk about that. You know, the difference between fats. You know. Fatty foods and lean foods. You know, that just came up yesterday. It was brought up, and I know that I had said something briefly about switching fats for, you know, leaner meats and you know, leaner food in my last video, in yesterday's video, ADF day 3. But I didn't go into specifics, so that's what I wanted to do. You know, just wanted to give a quick little rundown of what that meant. You know, even though I say quick, but this is like a 21-minute freaking video. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do, just kind of break that down, so that way it's a little more clear on what that means. You know, just eating leaner, it just means eating things that are higher protein and lower fat. Obviously, I'm trying to keep it 0 carb. And so yeah, that's basically what it means. Is with the meats, we're gonna go higher proteins and lower fat. So that's part of the routine now. And that's gonna help us lean down. That's actually you know, an easy way to lean down, just because, you know, you end up using your body fat instead. Okay, so that was what I meant by that. That's my new routine. Obviously, if I make any changes, I will you know, I'm gonna update here, and then I'll update on my food list. I'll update on the routine, on the meal plan. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll go ahead and call that a video right here, just this part of the video right here at least, and then we'll just go on to the next.